stir with this latest tweet that you put out there today, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. Sebelius' dishonesty in testimony this morning exceeds anything President Nixon was accused of. The Obama team can't tell truth and survive. Did she commit any crimes?
Well, first of all...
Did Richard Nixon commit a crime?
First of all...
Did she commit any crimes?
We don't know yet. Well, for example, CNN is reporting today that health insurance executives are being pressured into not speaking out.
So you're accusing her? Are you accused? Because
that, by the way, is true.
Nixon broke the law with the cover-up, right?
Well, and we don't know right now because the fact. What I'm saying, first of all, is in terms of the scale.
Because I just want to know if you want to revise, making a comparison to Nixon, but he left off, the only president forced out of office because he broke the law.
No, he was forced out of office in part. He resigned in part because he had said a series of things that weren't true.
He lied.
Okay.
Then he covered up.
He lied.
He broke the law. That's illegal.
So you have the Secretary of Health and Human Services go to a committee today.
Did she lie?
After a month. Well, she says the website never broke down. Now,
that's Nixon?
How can you have been through a month of the website breaking down?
All right.
I mean, if you want to make the argument, she's simply out of touch with reality. It wasn't a lie because she hasn't noticed it.
No, but when you make a comparison like that to Nixon, that's a significant comparison. I want Vance. He went to Harvard Law School.
No, that would be Yale. I went to the better law school.
Yale Law School, or one of those law schools. Now, here's the question. She took an oath. She testified under oath before this committee to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. If she lied, she broke the law. Is that what you're insinuating?
Well, no, I'm not insinuating anything. I'm saying flatly, whether you take Valerie Jarrett's tweet the other night, the Obamacare doesn't force you to lose your insurance, or you take what the Secretary said today, they are simply flat not telling the truth.
Well, first of all, with all due respect, to compare anything that's happening with this silly website to what Nixon did.
It's not a silly website. It's a very important website.
Listen, it's a very important website, but you got glitches. Websites get fixed. You know, I remember when Twitter used to go down all the time. They had the fail whale. They fixed it. This will get fixed. But to compare what's happening to Nixon is to put the hype in hyperbole. I mean, it is so far beyond what's actually going on here. My concern is this. We are now in this rhetorical arms race where every side is doing everything except focusing on the real issue. I think Democrats are in danger right now of sounding tone deaf to the people who are surprised at some of these outcomes. Democrats need to eat some humble pie here and show real concern for the people who are getting these notices. I think Republicans need to also show a little bit of humility. They seem to be completely indifferent to the losers in the last system, and now they seem to be completely indifferent to the winners in the new system, and they seem to be grandstanding. None of this is good for the country, but I don't think we should be dragging Nixon into this.
Well, how would you handle, I mean, you look at the scale of dishonesty in the tweets from the White House that says Obamacare doesn't require anyone to lose their insurance. That is just plain fat a lie.
Well, I wouldn't say it. Here's what I think.
What would you call it?
Well, here's what I honestly think. I think the president was overly broad in his assurances to the American people. Right. I think that's unarguable.
He clearly should have been more precise with his
I think so, because, and I think that we have Democrats coming out. You have Democrats coming out and trying to twist and turn the words. That's not good. But why was the president so overly broad in these assurances? There's a context here, and the context is that you had Republicans out there saying Stalin was on the way. And I think you have extreme overstatement on one side, extreme overinsurance on the other. Maybe it's a judgment question, but it's not a character question.
Oh, no, wait a second. The President of the United States goes around hundreds of times, and says, you will not lose your insurance, you will not lose your doctor or your hospital, period.
If you like it.
This is not complicated.
Well, listen.
Was it the truth or was it a falsehood?
Look, I think as the law was written, he was right. As the regs were written, it's questionable. As it turned out, he's wrong. So I think he was overly broad. I think now you look back, Democrats have to admit this.
12 to 15 million people have these individual policies. Sure. And of those, maybe 5 or 10 million of them are going to lose their policies. They may have liked them. They may not have. They may have been crummy policies. They may not have worked if they really got sick, these individuals. But obviously, millions of people are going to lose policies. So on that point, Newt makes a fair point. But on the point comparing it to Nixon, comparing what she did, what this secretary did, that is, I mean, just between you and me, that's a little overblown.
Well, what do you say about an administration which you just point out? The actual number may be 16 million Americans losing their policies. Now, this affects life and death. It affects.
But you're talking about the president. Here you said, and I'll read it again, just to be precise, and then you can tell me if you want to revise it. Sebelius' dishonesty in testimony this morning exceeds anything President Nixon was accused of.
I will modify it. Okay. Equals anything President. How's that? Exceeds may have been too strong. I think to go under oath and say with a straight face, there was not an outage in a site you've been covering for a month.
That is so far from what happened with Nixon. And here's the thing. I don't think it serves the country for us to be in this rhetorical arms race. I think that the president should not have said that nobody ever was possibly going to have anything bad happen to him, because it turns out to be not true. No. That's not Nixon. That's not Nixon.
Wait, he said it hundreds of times.
And I think hundreds of times he said something he shouldn't have said. I don't think Democrats should go around pretending that was a wise statement. But for you to pretend that's a Nixonian level of deception,
on that statement, you saw the Washington Post today, their fact checker. Sure. They gave the president 4 Pinocchios.
Fair enough, but they didn't have Nixon's nose. They had Pinocchio's nose, and there's a difference.
So, all right. Hold on, don't go away. We're going to continue this discussion, a serious, important discussion, much more coming up.